Keep track of time. Give me watch. Give me watch. What shall I speak about? Well, I would like to begin by speaking about one of the good books that I read, that is of City of Joy, written by Dominic Lippert. This book is just a beauty. It speaks about one Madan Lal who has to close shop in his village because of the drought and come to the city of Calcutta. And they speak about the first chapter on, it tells about the uh, he has to, like, leave his house, a thatched house, and put off the lamp that always burnt in his house, and of course put off the little chula. Chula is the fireplace, and pack little bags on his back, and with his wife and children to head for Calcutta. Calcutta, as we know, is one of the largest cities of India, and there is a mix of many cultures there. Well, Madan Lal mm, is a farmer, and for 1 and 2 years there is no income. So the only alternative to sell his land. In this book, I do not know if he could even sell his land. Just a vacant land. He walked for survival to the city of Calcutta. And then they do show, I mean, they in his book, which is depicted, um, he says the life being led on a station platform. You know, no cooking, just water provided by the station, and little hardships of his wife to, you know, skip a meal and to so that the children could eat. So at that time, the Madan Lal is only wanting one thing, that he has to marry his daughter. That is his life's wish. Okay, I survived the drought. I've come to city. I can at least beg, even beg and survive. But he is interested in his daughter. His daughter should not go to the bad ends, like, being exploited by the uh, street uh, street people, because in a city this also can happen. And the story goes on that he has to uh, reach out to actually uh, learn to be a rickshaw puller. By chance, he meets a man from his village who leads him in turn to a man who could put him to work. But same time there's massive exploitation. Exploitation because he doesn't own a rickshaw puller, a man-driven cart which can house seat two people, and I don't know. I have yet to see one of this order, but I can understand by pictures what it can be. It is a seater with can take two or maybe even three people, but it is driven or being run by this man. Now I think it is banned. So was it banned in some part in Kerala, I think, because now they have been again converted to cycle rickshaws. Cycle rickshaws are quite popular. I have seen them in Bangalore. which is my state capital. Now there are auto-driven, that is scooter-driven auto rickshaws. Anyway, now there our Ompuri, he starts, he meets a village man who can speak his language and understand from which part of the city, I mean the country and the village he has come from, and they become friends. So he in turn leads him to a man who owns a few of these uh, hand-driven, man-driven rickshaws. So the only part is that whatever his efforts are, he has to pay like what they call hafta. Hafta is like a token of money. If he collects, say, 10 rupees, he has to give 1 and 2 to or even more, to the man who owns that. So that is the irony of life. His efforts, somebody else's auto, and his labor will make him uh, drive it or run it. So with that, he can earn some money and basically earn money to feed his family. So it is very touching chapters that we read about. And finally, the story, is taken us to the end of the story. The end of the story is the son has already, made himself to survive in the street. I do not know how, but any boy 18, 20 can survive by bodily labor or things like that. But the girl who is his daughter has to at least marry to somebody who will take care of her. And that's our hero Ompuri's desire. And finally, he performs the marriage with borrowed money. Borrowed money for which he has a small celebration. A few friends, some lighting, some new clothing which he will give the groom, and for which there are money lenders. For the money lender also gives money only to the ones that he will make him profit. So when he is approached by again one of his friends to this money lender, the money lender looks at him and sees that he may be now like almost to die or little months or weeks to die. But he provides him the money. And, in that poverty, some could have been as today's equivalent of $2, suppose, which is like 150 rupees. Because today's rate of a dollar is 80, 83, 85. So 160 rupees, which is $2, I suppose. Anyway, he performs that. The beauty of the story is that Ompuri celebrates with 2 of his friends, 4 of his friends, a little drink, and he is in the little back lane or behind when the marriage is being performed. But actually, his dying wishes are carried out. His dying wishes are carried out, and he actually collapses or gets overdrunk and passes away. But the beauty of this, they carry on with the marriage. They carry on in the marriage because otherwise the marriage will be stopped. And the marriage is carried on. There's a little celebration, as I said. Om Puri with his 2 and 4 friends has his. But again, most touching is the following morning. The following morning, that money lender comes because he has written on a piece of paper that that body will be given to this money lender. That is, I hope I can tell myself that once he's dead, that body becomes his for payment of that loan or non-payment of the loan and things like that. Because this man in turn will sell his body to some medical institution where that body will have some value. Today, a medical student, if he should enter into medical studies, from what I gather during my friends who of my age who studied medicine, they have to buy one skeleton, a clean skeleton, and they have to study day by day one part of the body. Of course, the body is not there, but the bones are there, like say anatomy and your bone structure of a human being. Anyway, so that man comes and demands that body, and everybody is surprised because he removes. They are laying out the body for cremation. Of course, the girl is married, but when they are laying that man comes on a cycle and claims the body. That's the most touching part. And then only they realize the sacrifice of this Om Puri, what he did in his last moments. He gave his entire life, his efforts, and his remains to repay his loan. I hope I have convinced in my best knowledge and vocabulary that this book is really touching. One should read it to really grasp. I was reading it chapter by chapter and narrating to my friends who really loved me narrating to them about this book. They were non-readers, but in my friendship with them, they always wanted me to convey the story. And I, like, because it was so very interesting and I heard of this book, I read it chapter by chapter. I just concluded by saying, very short, a life of a rickshaw puller. And it was made into a movie later, but a lot of cutting took place, and that's why the little theme was lost, I believe. Fortunately for me, that actor I knew because he stayed in my hostel. Of course, I did not know about this book because later on only I know that he starred in that movie, Om Puri. And then I got interested to see other movies of his. Like one more movie was Adya Satya. There too, he actually tackles a mafia man with his own sacrificing his life. Very, very touching story that too is. Maybe after I get to see that movie, maybe I will narrate just like what I did today. But I got fascinated by Dominic Lippert. I recommend anybody to blindly take up the Dominic Lippert's books, and of course, with your reading, he contributes part of his earnings to Mother Teresa Foundation at Calcutta and many other justable foundations where, like for lepers who are the destitute and the home for the aged, and so many places where his contributions are there, while worldwide over. He became a very popular author because he tied with Larry Collins, who was also a correspondence writer. And this Dominic Lippert had to also conscribe in the French army. So he visited many places. But his young age that he started to write was also very interesting. He tells it in a book of a thousand suns. A thousand suns. In this, he tells about his early life, how he toured USA from France, and he aboard a cargo ship which had nothing to export in 1945 after the war, but French cognac, or the wine, which was about 20 tons in that big freighter to carry the cognac to USA. Because France was bankrupt, but then he was a father was a dignitary in the mm, in the embassy, which and he had a transfer there. So that's how he tells about his life in America. He earned a living as a young boy painting post boxes where one drops the post for that particular house. And he very interesting man to read about. Sad to say he passed away a few years, but I think I've read at least 5 to 6 books. To name a few is, of course, City of Joy. Then A Thousand Suns, which could be one of my last books that I read. But that again is 10, 15 years ago. In between, I cannot recollect just now the books that I read of City of Joy. Of course, there are other world famous books. Is Paris Burning? Freedom at Midnight. Is Paris Burning? Freedom at Midnight. Real uh, good reading books. So happy reading to you, and I guess what I recommended for you, this author in particular. Well, Freedom of Midnight was written jointly with Collins. Collins was an American journalist, and whereas Dominique Lippert was working for the French newspaper Match or something like that. Match, Match. I don't know what it means in French, but he worked for them, and he toured many country, many interesting stories like how he bought his first car and his second car, and again later after some 20-25 he saw that same car in an auction and rebought it and refurbished it and toured places. Very interesting stories he has to tell about himself. So go ahead, don't hesitate to pick up these books wherever you see them. As for me, I used to pick them up in Bombay and here in my town, where the original price is discounted at least 1/5 the original price, because there are people who recycle these books for exchange of other books and of course sell them. There are many a book show where one can go and pick up these books which I mentioned. Freedom at Midnight, City of Joy, your Is Paris Burning? I have yet to read. I always said let me read it later, but till now I have not come across. But I know my source where I can go because one of my friends mentioned it and he promised to give me. So bye. Huh? Good day to you all. Bye. Julian, come. Nice. I think I spoke well. I just spoke about the author and the books.